Support Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay. Why so?
Mostly for his closed border policy.
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
Yeah, just ask which one.
His closed border.
Yeah, like which closed border
Border. The
policy?
border is closed.
Which closed border policy?
Maybe policy is not the right word. So maybe, look, he came into office, signed executive orders, and shut the border down.
Which
Am I
executive
wrong?
order?
I don't know. One of the first 200 he signed. I could look it up. I don't
One
have.
of one of them isn't an example
Yes.
of one of them.
No, he made the border a national security issue. He labeled Tren de Aragua as a terrorist organization,
I have a
which is
question. I have a
correct.
question. Do you agree with the big beautiful bill allocating specifically more funding to ICE than the militaries of plenty of different nations?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Did you know that we spend more on ICE than Italy does on its military, than Israel does on its military, than the Netherlands, than Brazil, than Switzerland? We're right behind
100%.
Canada
Yep.
in terms of their spending on the military.
Yep, 100%. I support it.
You support that much spending on ICE?
Yep.
Right? Going into communities, deporting people without due process, detaining them, violating their constitutionally protected rights.
What constitutional protection do illegal immigrants
Due
have?
process, equal protection
No.
under the law. Did you know that the
Nope.
14th Amendment specifically says within Article 1 that everyone within the country is granted equal protection under the law, which is granted under due process rights?
The only due process for illegal immigrants is determine whether or not they are legal or illegal.
That's
That is
that
their due
that
process.
that's wait, due process. Due
That is
process.
their due process.
That's
The only
not
thing you have
wait
to
again.
determine
That's
is
not the
whether
due
they are in
process.
that country
You know that
illegally.
that due process hasn't even been granted under the Trump administration.
Okay, so how do you what number of illegal immigrants do you think are in this country?
I mean, I don't know the specific number of people who are in the country
If you had
undocumented.
to guess, is it 5, 10, 20 million? What would your guess be?
Between 10 to 15.
So how do you expect for I think there's 7 or 800 immigration judges. How are they supposed to have 15 million trials to determine whether the people in this country should be in this country or not? How long do you think that would take?
Oh, then if you acknowledge that mass deportation is just not something that you can actually reliably do, then wouldn't you say that you should do mass amnesty?
No, I mean Obama deported 5 million
And maybe you
people.
should take
So
some of that money you're putting into ICE and put it into immigration judges. How about you do that? Because it sounds like instead of specifically addressing it from a overall perspective in terms of the court system, you just want to fund more enforcement,
okay,
right?
so
Of
on
things
that
without
note,
due process.
would you be more accepting if there was funding for, say, I'm sorry if I'm wrong on this. I don't have like all the facts in my face right now. I'm on my phone and not a computer. But if there's, I think there's like 700 immigration judges. So would you be accepting of like saying taking that number to 3,000 so that they could process illegal immigrants faster?
Yeah.
So cut ICE funding and hire more judges to get rid of illegal immigrants.
Yeah. The judges specifically not to get rid of undocumented immigrants, but to process specific pathway to citizenship for more
Not
undocumented
undocumented.
immigrants.
I'm not talking undocumented. I'm talking people that came here illegally.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Undocumented
Because there are.
immigrants. Undocumented immigrants, any undocumented immigrant in the country who hasn't committed a violent crime or bad crime, we should hire more immigration judges to process claims, right, for more people to go through the citizenship process.
But we can't also allow everybody that
Just
wants
kind of
to come
offensive.
here to come here. We can't just open up the
If they haven't
border.
committed a violent crime or bad crime, what's the reason why you shouldn't allow them in the country?
If they haven't come, okay, sure. If they haven't committed a violent crime or a bad crime, where in their country,
Anywhere, at any
and
point in time.
who's to validate that? Like who's to determine whether or not they have?
Their documentation.
Okay, so why do we allow those people to be in this country prior to knowing if they're a violent criminal or not?
We don't typically,
We do.
unless you're referencing the asylum process, because we're trying to ensured that people who are seeking asylum are protected and kept safe. Plus, I mean, you understand that people specifically come through passports and are coming through are tourists, right? And we don't verify every single tourist in that type of sense. I mean, Donald Trump had Andrew Tate come to our country.
Yeah, Andrew Tate's an idiot. I don't agree with everything that this guy does. I don't. The Andrew Tate stuff's dumb. As far as like, and not all illegal immigrants. I'm not trying to say everybody that comes here is not shouldn't be here. There are plenty of cases where there's good people that are trying to come to this country because they legitimately are looking for help. But there are also people that, like Sarah Adams, for instance, who was a former CIA targeter, talks about over at least over 1,000, if not multiple thousands of like that have entered this country illegally.
It'll be easier for law enforcement to identify anyone come to the country for nefarious means if it is the case that we incentivize more of the people in the country who are undocumented to go through the legal process by allowing them to give a pathway to citizenship if they haven't committed a violent crime or bad crime, right? Given the condition specific, and also given the case that they don't have to leave the country.
But they
Right.
should
So
come
like
here legally,
that
though.
incentivizes them to go through the legal process, and it makes it easier for law enforcement to identify anyone coming to the country for nefarious means.
Right. But they should have to come here legally. We shouldn't just be allowing people to
Okay,
walk
well,
across the
that
line.
would be if we have a legal process that makes sense. Currently, the legal process takes too long for people to get to this country
What is the like what takes too long about it? Why is the legal process too long in your opinion?
because Republicans specifically have put things artificially within the context of our immigration system to make it artificially take more time.
So what do you think a perfect immigration system looks like? What's your idea of a good immigration system?
One that doesn't take years upon years upon years for people to get in the country, but instead takes maximum 6 months.
And what's your idea of like a good deportation system?
If you have committed a violent crime or a bad crime insofar as that it meets a certain threshold of you should be deported, then in those circumstances they should be deported on the condition they'll be put in a prison in another country.
Okay. So what was your take on Obama's administration deporting over 5 million people then?
I disagree with the level of deportations they did, but they engaged in a due process.
There's no way Obama had 5 million trials for due process on 5 million people.
They had a process called expedited removal.
That's still in place. It was signed by Bill Clinton in 96.
So, yeah, so in terms of expedited removal, that particular process grants people the access to due process, right? And going in front of a judge.
And
That's the due process they engage in. Is it the level of due process that I would like? No, but
but do you believe that the 5 million
is it an actual set of due process? Yes.
so and you believe that Obama used due process for every illegal immigrant that he had removed from the country
That
because it's over 5 million.
that condition existed. Yes.
It still exists now. Expedited removal still
Donald
exists.
Trump is removing it in scenarios and not even granting the access to that. Like for example, Donald Trump illegally deported Abrego Garcia, right? Who was then
And who
right?
has been brought back to this country since.
He was and he was removed from the country without due process, and the Supreme Court unanimously determined that Donald Trump was violating the law by deporting him to an El Salvadorian prison.
Right, but the Supreme Court also said that he could be deported anywhere but El Salvador. That was the only issue with his deportation.
You
If he would
understand?
have sent
One,
him
he
to
didn't get due process. You
Venezuela,
didn't get due process for it. Secondly,
he did,
that
he
led
did in
to him
2019.
having his constitutional rights violated. Led to him being tortured. Don't sit here and justify that. That's fucking actually abhorrent.
Well, Garcia had trials in 2019.
Not specifically for deportation, right?
The
Deportation
only
order
thing
in terms of this.
the only thing in 2019 was they said that he could not be deported to, where was he deported to? Was it Venezuela?
I'm not quite familiar, but I would have to check. But like again,
No,
I'm
where was he? Where El Salvador is where he was recently deported to,
yes,
correct?
yes,
That
yes.
was what the Supreme Court said. Is that was the only place he couldn't be deported to
I
because
thought
he
you were
was a
referencing something in the past. In terms of
right. Yeah, because in 2019, I'm sorry, in 2019 they had trials with this guy and they determined that he had what, however the wording is, but he could be deported, just not to whatever his home country was,
wait,
El
can you
Salvador.
provide me a source that there's a deportation order for back then? I would love to see it.
You'd have to look. It's in 2019. I don't have a.
Go find it. I'll talk to someone in the meantime.
I don't have like a. Oh, I guess I could look it up
You
on
can
my
look it
phone.
up
I
on your
don't.
phone while I talk to someone. Yeah, I won't be able to hear you until you come back into the app.
Okay.
Okay. You support Donald Trump?
Yes.
Why so?
I just support America.
Okay. How does supporting Donald Trump supporting America?
You're on a live during 4th of July. Dude, get a life.
You're on a live
Seriously.
on 4th of July.
Get a life.
Well,
Seriously.
you get a life. You're on a live on 4th of July right now. You get a life. Go get a life right now.
Dude,
You're
listen
on
to
a
me.
live on 4th of
I have
July.
kids in the bathroom. They're taking a shower. I'm outside. I'm bored.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, so
You
then I'm
pop up on
confused.
TikTok. You are the most annoyingest person I think I've ever met.
Annoyingest?
Ever
Why so?
seen.
Why am I the most annoyingest person?
Because you hate America.
How do I hate
Just say it.
America? Just tell me, please. I want you to describe to me how I hate America. Don't run away. Oh, is he running away? Is Chris running away because I'm the most annoyingest person ever? Do you support Donald Trump?
Yep.
Okay, why so?
For everything he has done since the day he took office in his first term to make America great again.
Okay, when is America gonna be great?
It is now.
It's great. It's great right now. But why? How is it great?
Yeah.
In what way?
No tax on tips. And that comes from someone who's been getting tips his whole life and being ripped off by everybody who hasn't had the nads to step up to the plate and help the ordinary guy.
It's a deduction, and the deduction is no. Is it just takes place of the standard deduction, and it's like 10,000 more
Zero
than the standard
tax
deduction.
on tips.
That's it. No, there's still tax on tips. It's just a deduction.
No, there's not.
Yes,
You
there
can
is.
say there is, but it is plain and clear by the bill he signed today on Independence Day that there is no taxes on tips.
Okay, I have a question. Are all the payments people send to me taxable?
Are all the what?
Are all the payments people send to me taxable?
Are all the payments people send to me?
Send to me taxable because they tip me.
I don't know. You tell me. You
No,
read you heard what's going on today.
they are
So
taxable.
explain it to everybody out there what you have heard.
So they are taxable. All the payments people send me are taxable because one, it only applies to certain conditions in terms of industries, and two, it's a deduction, right? It's not. It's a capped deduction at 25,000, right? Which is on top of. Which is only 10,000, or I mean, a bit on top of the standard deduction. Standard deduction being 12,000, so like about a double to the standard deduction.
Well, I mean, there might be parameters within this thing, but nobody makes $2 million in taxes. Nobody makes $200,000 in taxes. Nobody makes what you're talking about that would eliminate you from getting that benefit. I don't know
From
what you
getting
think
what
we're
benefit?
getting in taxes every year, but it's far below the cap
Far below what cap?
that you're talking about.
What cap?
The one you just the one you just expressed.
And which cap was that?
Talking there's parameters. Well, those parameters are far below what you make. So you're gonna get it You just want people to think you're not included in this.
And included in what? Like the Medicaid cuts?
No taxes on tips.
Okay, so
You're gonna get it whether you
people
like it
people are
or
going to get
not.
it if they're in the industry, right? But it is going to be a deduction. It's not no tax on tips in general. Can you give me like a actual reason why you think that America is great? Because the no tax on tips thing hasn't even applied to anyone yet. Not a single
No
person
tax
has
on
it applied to.
overtime. I'll keep going.
Oh,
No
that's
tax on
another
overtime.
deduction. That's a
Tell
deduction.
me how that doesn't apply to you as well. You
It's-
make so much overtime, you don't apply.
I don't make overtime because I'm self-employed.
Well, I do, so it helped me. And again, I'll just repeat myself. For 40 years of overtime, nobody has had the nads to step up to the plate and help me. And I ain't rich. I'm just a regular guy. Like
I have a question.
everybody and
Did you
most
go to public
people.
education?
Now I have
Thomas.
no taxes on my little
Thomas.
bit of overtime
Thomas.
because I don't get thousands of hours of overtime every week. I'm
Thomas.
talking 5 or 10 hours a week in overtime. This tax free.
So Thomas, one, there's a cap because it's just a deduction for your overtime. It's not no taxes on overtime in general.
Cap. Tell me about this cap. How many thousands of hours a week do you have to have before you to not be eligible?
Yeah. So like I said, in terms of the cap, for the previous one, right? It was $25,000 for tips, like we were referencing in terms of a deduction.
Oh, so you know somebody that gets $25,000 annually in tips?
No, it's a deduction. It's a deduction, and yes, people can get $25,000 annually in tips.
Well, then they don't. Then they're not. Then they
Okay.
don't need.
By the way,
a tax
and then
break.
can I
If
clarify?
they're making
Wait, hold
$25,000 a year in tips. A tax break is of no value to them. They've got plenty enough money.
What? $25,000 in a year?
Yeah, Elon Musk.
That's
and
like
Donald Trump
dude,
don't
dude.
need a tax break.
Dude, I'm
I'll say
sorry.
that.
Well, can you tell me what's 2 times 12?
What's 2 times 12? 24.
Okay, so that's about $2,000 a month. Okay, so you're telling me $2,000 a month, they have so much money that they're like, they don't need help? What reality
They
are you
don't
living
if
in?
They're making $24,000 in tips.
Yeah, like $24,000 in tips. That's $2,000 a month.
Right, and I'll say it again. They get They make enough money. They're not poor. They're not starving for money. They're not hungry. If there's a cap, I like it. I'm good. I'm good with rich people not getting richer. I'm not
Really?
good
Because
with
you know the
regular
tax
guy
breaks that you're
getting
referencing.
no tax.
The tax breaks that you're
If you're
referencing
trying
give
to
massive tax
say all
breaks.
this to
The tax breaks that you're referencing give massive tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. What do you mean? It makes rich people richer at the expense of poor people in this country.
tax free.
You think the money I just got was tax free?
It is if it's a tip.
Yeah, that was a tip, but it's not tax free because it's not
It is tax free.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Luke,
it
thank you for
is.
the dollar. Thank you, Luke. So you think I don't have to pay any taxes this year?
No, you don't.
Do you think I shouldn't pay taxes?
You think what?
Do you think I shouldn't pay taxes?
No, I don't. You're not going to pay taxes on tips.
Yes, I will.
Period. Well, you can volunteer that money. The IRS will gladly
No, the
take it
IRS
from
the
you.
IRS
But it
will
is
force me
now
to pay the
a
money.
law. Donald Trump signed it in as a law
It's not-
that you are not going to pay, or I'll just say this, you don't have to pay taxes on that $3 tip
I
you
do.
got.
I do.
Well, you do because you want to, but you don't have to.
No, I have to.
No, well, you can say
And by
that.
the way, it's
but
a little
that's
bit of
lie. Now I'll just call you a
It's
liar.
not. It's not a lie. How was it a lie?
Because everybody has heard for the past year. I'll just put it like that. A year that there'll be no taxes on tips.
Yeah, it's only for the first 25,000, and then it's 12,500 for overtime.
And then you got so much money that $3 you can pay taxes on that, and I won't cry
It's
you a river.
wait. I just want to clarify: a $25,000 deduction is not you paying. You get a deduction in the amount you pay. No, it's a deduction. It's a deduction. Listen. It's a deduction in taxable income, meaning that you're only going to save your top marginal tax rate. So say your top marginal tax rate is 10%, right? You're only going to save $2,500, right, or $1,250 over the entirety of the year, but you actually will pay more by an increase in the prices of goods and services, specifically through the context of the tariffs.
If it's only $2,500, then why didn't a Democrat do that for me 25 years ago?
Do you have children?
I have 2 children and 7 grandchildren.
Okay, so Kamala Harris wanted to expand the child tax credit $6,000 for the first year of a child's life, $3,600 through them being 5 years old, $3,000 through them being 18.
He also is starting an account for.
Well, actually, I have a question. Do you think I have a question. Do you think over 50% of America is rich?
All this money being given to the regular person.
Hey.
And all this money being saved for the.
Hey, do you think that over 50% of this country is rich?
Well, I'm not interested in who's rich, and it doesn't interest me who's rich.
I'm just asking a question. Is it possible for you to answer it?
Is that somebody saved me money?
I don't think you can even reconcile with that. I don't think you'd even recognize if you paid
no
more.
Amount of
You've had too many alcoholic drinks.
Crimea River crap that is going to suck the life out of what was given to me today by Donald J. Trump.
And he didn't give you anything. Do you work? Are you retired?
Yeah, I'm 60 years old.
Okay, so
no taxes on Social Security. Starting
wait,
today,
by the way, there is taxes still on Social Security now.
President in the United States history.
There still is taxes on Social Security.
And it took Donald J. Trump to do that because Democrats and all the other politicians before him did nothing to help that.
No tax on Social Security is not in the bill.
It is in the bill. It is because I just watched. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Can you tell me where? What's the deduction?
You a liar again.
What's the deduction?
Not only is it in the bill, Donald Trump signed it today.
What is the deduction?
It is a money savings amount for me.
99 bottles of beer on the wall. 99 bottles of beer. Take one down, pass it around. 98 bottles of beer on the wall. 98 bottles of beer. 98 bottles of beer. Take one down, pass it around. 97 bottles of beer on the wall. 97 bottles of beer on the wall. 97 bottles of beer. Hey, take one down, pass it around. 96 bottles of beer on the wall. That's at least a few, right? You okay, man?
God bless alligator Alcatraz.
What did you just say?
I said, God bless alligator Alcatraz. Open today. Because now this country's going to be safer again.
How so? With a criminal as president?
By putting illegal criminal aliens in prison in the middle of the swamp.
One, you don't call people aliens. Two, if you wanted to put criminals in a prison specifically surrounded by alligators, well, then you'd put Donald Trump there.
Incarcerate all animals.
Did you just call undocumented immigrants animals?
Did I stutter?
You disgusting piece of shit. What? What? Are you really trying to humanize undocumented immigrants right now? That's a disgusting thing for you just to utter out of your mouth. You absolute piece of shit. What the is wrong with you? That type of dehumanization is disgusting. Answer for yourself right now before I boot you from my live.
Oh, it's this patriotism that's got the best of me.
That has nothing to do with patriotism. That has everything to do with dehumanization. If you were a patriot, you wouldn't dehumanize people like that. That's disgusting. Patriots love the country, right? And if you love the country, care about our constitution, you care about our due process rights, you care about treating people right with like literally dignity and respect, right? You don't believe in cruel and unusual punishment. And what he just demonstrated was not patriotism, but rather it was the most anti-American set of values you could possibly have.